A very good evening and welcome all. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar titled Introduction to Commodity Derivatives. My name is Kalyani Fender, representative from the Placement Department of MIT Distance Education. Today, we have with us Mr. Vineet Singh Kaler, Senior Manager, Training and Education with Multi Commodity Exchange of India Limited, and Mr. Steven D'Souza, who is a part of business team of MCX. Mr. Vineet Singh Kaler is a postgraduate in planning and entrepreneurship with specialization in finance and marketing with over 13 years of experience in financial markets, treasury operations, risk management, and exchange industry. About MCX. MCX is India's first listed exchange that facilitates online trading of commodity derivative transactions, thereby providing a platform for price discovery and risk management. The exchange started its operation in November 2003, operates under the regulatory framework of Securities and Exchange Board of India. I welcome both of you, and now I request Mr. Vineet Singh to take this forward.
Uh, Thank you, Kalyani ma'am, for introducing us. Thank you very much. Very good evening to all of you. Now the session flow is like this. I request you all to please keep noting the questions in between. In between, you just write down and we'll try and resolve all your queries towards the end. Okay. Now, as the session flow suggests, we'll be talking about commodity derivatives and commodity markets in India. So this is the screen in front of you, which is live screen, is what we are talking about, and we'll be discussing about this. This is an online market platform connecting all physical market traders and participants, plus all the investment community, to come down to a single platform where they buy and sell as per the international price dynamics of the products which are allowed to be traded as derivatives on the exchange. So overall, internationally as well as in India, we have four different segments of commodity derivatives or commodities. First segment or a silo is called as bullion segment, which is a precious metal segment, which is the in front of you. What we have on Indian platform on MCX is gold, silver. Otherwise, internationally, there are gold, silver, diamond, platinum, palladium. These are all, forming a precious metal segment. This is in front of you. We have gold. Different variations of golds are there. One is gold. Second is gold mini, gold guinea, gold petal. Look at the third column, which is like given in the symbol form. So these are all gold, but there are different kinds of contracts of gold. Okay, this is a live market right now. We see on the I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at the last updated time. It is showing this is the live current market going on. It is connecting anyone and everyone across India. Now, what do I mean by anyone and everyone? See, it is connecting, say for example, gold. If I talk about gold, which is there in front of your screen, so it is connecting the miners, the traders, the refiners, these retailers, jewelers, importers, exporters, even governments, big producers and sellers of gold. They are all connected on the same platform as physical product dealers, people who deal with physical product. This is called as a full value chain of gold. And second, who all are also connected, they are all called as investors. Now, investors are of different kinds. There are arbitrators, there are speculators, portfolio managers, mutual fund managers, hedge funds, day traders. There are people who are investors for a longer duration trade. This is the live market in front of you. Plus, what is essentially coming here, you have to note is all individual rows, which are there in front of you. Like say gold, we have three. I'm displaying only three rows. These all rows are individual derivative contracts. As of now, in front of you, they are future contract. Look at the first column, which is saying future on commodity. Now, to just give you the length of products we have, I'm just adding something to show you. We have futures, derivatives as futures. Now I'm adding something called as, say, I'll add for the same product. This is gold option. Now gold option, I have taken a very different kind of a rate. Let me just go to near the market price. Market price is around 51,000 for gold. Let me just go. You might find, okay, these are called as strike prices. Okay. Why I'm showing you this screen is, this screen is important. Why? Because I was telling you all different kinds of value chain people are connected, different kinds of traders, different kind of, so what is happening is, this is the single platform wherein all kinds of people agree to a single point price at given point in time. That means through this online trading platform, what is the first benefit we get is, first benefit is everything is transparent and it is giving you a real time outlook and price sensitivity, wherein all kinds of physical as well as investors, traders are connecting and they are agreeing to a single price depending on the fundamentals of the product. Do you see the LTP, last traded price, on the right hand corner? This is the price which full market is agreeing to. Okay. Now with such platform, what happens is it removes the inefficiency of physical market. Now when I say inefficiency of physical market, see, understand, gold market, we have gold market is present in most of the states and cities in India. You agree with that? Yes. Now for example, I am sitting in Delhi. We have one of the wholesale market as Chandni Chowk. Bombay we have Zaveri Bazaar. Kolkata similarly we have a different kind of market. So all states have a big wholesale market of gold, yes, where physical buying and selling can happen. Plus we have retail shops, jewelers, we have big traders, we have importers, who are working in importing and exporting of the gold, physical pure gold as well as the jewelry. Now understand, all these physical markets, if you go to them, they have a different kind of rate for the same product. For example, if I want to buy and sell in Delhi Chandni Chowk market, they will give me some rate which will not be same, for the gold what is available in Bombay. It will have a different rate in Ahmedabad, we'll have a different rate in Kolkata, Bangalore, different rates for the same products in different markets. Now to get rid of this kind of a situation, first advantage of this online market is that all kinds of people of all markets in India, physical markets, traders, importers, exporters, they are all connecting right now live on this screen, and they all are agreeing to the last traded price as the best price which has happened in the market. So there is a single price by connecting all the participants in the market. So that is the biggest advantage. Okay. Now you could see the futures. Look at the first column, option on futures. This is a different kind of, we have futures, we have options. Now I'm giving you something different. We have, okay, let me just I'm entering at whatever price is coming first. Okay. Now we have options on futures, we have options on commodities. There is a difference between them. There are two kinds of options. One is options having an underlying as a future contract. The other is the options which has an underlying as the physical commodity. Okay. Now I'm just introducing one more thing which is called as index and index futures. Okay. Let me just do an enter. Now this is a futures. You do see FUTIDX. This is a futures on both, on Boolean segment as a whole. What I just said was the Boolean segment has gold, silver, right? So it is a Boolean index, and that is Boolean index futures which is available to be traded on. That is the range, different kinds of products, range of products we have in a same underlying. For example, gold, what I'm just showing you. Okay, let me just simplify the screen. I will not spend much of the time on the screen. I just wanted to show you the different segment. This is a Boolean segment which is in front of you, gold and silver. The next segment which is just coming from aluminum to zinc, aluminum, copper, lead, nickel, zinc, these are all called as base metals. This is a base metal segment. Now what I'm saying here, it is sacrosanct across the globe. We have a base metal segment in all the commodity exchanges across the globe. We have Boolean segment as well. Then we have something called as energy segment. In energy segment, we have crude oil and natural gas as the products which are right now dealt in the exchange on the MCX. Okay. And the fourth segment, which is the large segment, I'm just showing you only 4 products. This is called as agri segments, where we have plantations, crops, where we have oil and oil seeds, where we have spices, everything related to agriculture, and the products are clubbed into derivatives and traded in this segment, which is called as an agri segment. So overall, we have 4 large segments in the commodity space, which is bullion, base metals, energy, and agri commodity. Now, if you would have gone through the news today, there is an exchange in the international market which is called as CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. They have announced launching derivatives on a commodity which is called as water. Pani. Water is a commodity which is on which derivatives have been launched in an exchange, global exchange, which is called as a CME, Chicago Mercantile. So products like these and their derivatives are essential for 2 reasons. Now this market serves 2 important purpose. For right now, I am just closing this screen because it is using a lot of bandwidth, and then I am moving to the slide, but definitely I'll be referring to this market in my presentation. But interesting part is these prices are live prices and market is live, which I have just shown you. Okay, I'm just getting out of this screen and I'm just moving back to just give me a second. Okay, I'm just exiting it. Okay, yes, now we are on the presentation. Before I start the presentation on commodities, now understand, we are in a financial market space. Yes, now there are 4 to 5 big segments of this market. One is the capital market segment, where we have equity and equity derivatives traded. We have debt market, where we have bonds and debt market derivatives traded. You have a forex market, where you have currency pairs and their derivatives traded. And then you have primarily commodity market, which we'll be touching in brief today. And then you have money markets, insurance, and other product, mutual fund market. Definitely they are there, but major important markets for our understanding today and our concern is just which are displayed in front of you. So when we are in financial markets, definitely we deal in financial products. It means nothing tangible is there in this market. It is all electronic. Okay, now when we are in these markets, you have to first understand that commodity is the only asset class, major asset class, which is of global nature. Now when I say of global nature, it means for example, if we take gold is a product which is bought, sold extensively in India, plus it is imported, exported, and traded in all the countries of the world. So it is a global product. Commodities are global in nature. Let me just take you a different example. Cotton is a commodity. Cotton is a raw product out of which weaving, bleaching, coloring, then cloth is made out of that cotton. So this process is everywhere, existing in all parts of the world. Now the countries which are not able to produce enough cotton, what they do is they import cotton from the countries which produce excessively. So in a way, cotton is again a very basic product which is extensively traded across the world. Take for example crude oil. In India, we don't have enough of crude oil production in-house. So we are, I would say, mostly dependent on the crude oil imports, right? So to fulfill our demand, we require an import of crude oil either coming from either of the sources, OPEC cartel, non-OPEC cartel, Southeast Saudi countries, from wherever we are trying to source crude oil and use. Now, in a way, what are we trying to do? We are importing crude oil. Now, similarly, India is one of the largest producers of cotton, cardamom, sugar, many commodities. We are also largest, so we export those products. So now, just with this background, I will want to again reaffirm on the statement which I have mentioned, that commodity is a global product. Commodity markets and commodity is a global products. Internationally, we have 86 big commodity exchanges like MCX in India. Worldwide, we have 86 large commodity exchanges, and they have a very significant role to play in the markets. Now that role would be I'll just give you an example and you will be able to correlate it with the role of the exchange. When we talk about crude oil, there are primarily 2 main variants of crude oil. One is WTI, Western Texas Intermediary, and the other is Brent crude oil. Okay. Now, when the news and the rates are flashed either in the paper or in the channels, in the prices running in the marquee below the screen, it says crude oil WTI $45 per barrel, NYMEX, NYMEX is written there, or Brent crude oil, say $49 per barrel, and ICE written next to it. Now, what is this ICE or NYMEX? ICE is Intercontinental Exchange. NYMEX is New York Mercantile Exchange. These are all commodity exchanges. Now, these commodity exchanges, when just with a small glimpse, I've just shown you of the market. What I was mentioning was everybody relating to that product is connected in the same platform. It means a lot many buyers and sellers are agreeing to buy and sell at a single price which is known to everyone. There is no opaqueness. Market prices are transparent across India. And what if people across globe are allowed to trade on MCX and they come and trade? It means people who are dealing in a single product, for example gold, they are all coming and trading on MCX. It becomes worldwide. There are huge volumes happening on the exchange. Then MCX will give or will have a benchmark pricing signal mechanism, which means people across the world who are trading in gold prices will like to see what is happening on MCX gold prices, and then they will do all their physical deals. This is where NYMEX crude oil prices, NYMEX is the benchmark for crude oil prices across the globe. So people who do physical buying and selling in crude oil, they first look at, okay, what is the prices of crude oil, WTI quality or NYMEX, and then they do their physical deals. Now, a small example would be when we go to a retailer, gold jeweler, when we ask rates from them, okay, what is the gold price today? They will look at the MCX screen first, and then they will quote you a price. So it means exchanges, they give you something called as a price referencing for all the participants in the market, because that is the best price available to all at one time, connecting everyone at the single marketplace. That is the essential role of the exchange, is called as price discovery. Now, since commodity is of global nature, its fundamentals are huge. Anybody tracking commodity or doing research or wanting to trade in these markets needs to understand the globalness of the product. Now, what do I mean by globalness of the product? Products not necessarily which are produced and are consumed in the same country. No, it means they are traded. So the demand centers might be different than the supply centers. So demand and supply centers having any hiccups will have the hiccups in the prices of those products. Second, the trading terms between different nations will have an impact on the prices of the product. Import duties increase, sanctions are imposed, or sanctions were imposed on Iran for not to export their crude oil to Asian countries. And once that sanction was lifted, the prices available to Asian countries were of a different wavelength. Now, because of this COVID pandemic, what has happened last 3-4 months ago, what has happened? Nobody was buying crude oil as a product. What has happened? Crude oil production was going on and on and on, and products were piling up. Whatever storages were available were filled with crude oil. Even the ships which were used to transport crude oil were used as warehouses, and stocks of crude were there. Because of excess stock in the market and very less or bleak demand, what has happened? The crude oil prices, they crashed badly, and derivatives on a day on the settlement, they have gone even to a negative trajectory. So demand and supply globally and availability of product globally has a lot of role to play in commodity. Plus policy changes between the countries there. When we say Donald Trump is having some trade war with US, or sorry, US is having a trade war with China, a lot of commodities are bought and sold, traded between China, US, and many parts of the world. Their prices are impacted by these policy decisions. Plus warlike situations, different kinds of phases of the economy, is a recession, stagflation, inflation, they have a huge impact on the demand and supply of the products. Now, you would have been looking at, the gold prices were at all-time high in these recent months. What has happened? because of this insecurity in the market due to COVID-19 and the war-like situation, trade wars between US and China, and India and China on the verge of border, what they are doing. Because of this, a lot of insecurity is there in the market, and people are not investing in any other asset, and they are trying to move their investment to a safe asset, which is called as gold. So it is not the demand for the physical product, it is the investment demand for the product which is taking the price up. Plus, something called as the seasonality of the product also impacts. Seasonality, like if you are in an agri product, so a good weather, a good rainfall, floods, drought, attacks on the product by some virus or some flies. We have seen this holocaust, or the flies which were flying all over the world, which were just ruining the crops. It was there few days ago. These are all factors which impact the prices of commodities. Now, apart from these factors, the other markets which are interrelated, financial markets, they also have an impact on commodities. For example, barring only service industry, all industries, they are commodity linked. Okay, so a lot of import, export, and trading happens for the physical products on a daily basis. Now, for your information, around whatever trades happen in the world, maybe to the tune of $800 trillion is what is happening on the daily basis. Out of that, 85 to 90% of the trade is in terms of dollars. Now understand, if dollar rate increases or decreases in terms or in relation to other developing currencies or developed nation currencies or developing nation currencies, the valuation of product changes. For example, I, as a crude oil refiner, agreed to import crude oil from Dubai at $40 per barrel. Okay, now for your understanding, I agreed to import only 100 barrels. So it means I need to pay 4,000 rupees, $4,000 as the payment. That was $40 per barrel. Now, when I entered into the trade, okay, the price of USD INR was, for understanding, is say 70 rupees per dollar. But now order has happened, the product will reach me in say 15 to 20 days via sea route, right? And once it reaches my refinery, I will be liable to make a payment. So I would say a month time is given for the payment. So today, if I have entered into a contract to buy crude oil at $40 per barrel, okay, and I have agreed to trade for 100 barrels, it means $4,000 I have to pay by the month end, after a month. Now, to pay in dollars, I need to buy dollars. So when I entered into a contract for $40 per barrel buy of 100 barrels oil, the dollars were 70. Okay. Now when I have to make the payment, the dollar price is 75 in a month. Say for example, there has been a 5 rupee depreciation in rupee. Now what has happened? Without commodity price being changed, $4,000 I have to pay. That is fixed. But because of currency price movement, if $1 is of 70 rupees, it means initially my liability was around how much? 4,000 into 70. That may be around 2,80,000 rupees I require to buy dollars. But what has happened? 5 rupee devaluation has happened in this time, wherein from the order to the payment date. So because of the currency movement, for the same product which I want to buy, I have to pay 20,000 rupees extra by the same dollars. This is a very small quantum of trade I have taken. Now imagine $800 trillion of trade happens on daily basis, and forex market is continuously moving, right? Rupee dollar rates are continuous. So forex market has a large impact when we talk about commodity markets. So if somebody is dealing in commodity markets or doing a research in this market or doing an advisory, has to always keep their mind open to what is happening in the forex market as well. Plus, there is something called as a debt market. Debt market, the underlying primarily is the interest rates. Now in this COVID situation, what has happened? Most of the countries and their reserves banks, they're trying to play with the interest rate to boost their economy. They're trying to reduce their interest rate to the maximum possible limit. Now by this, what they're trying to do is they're trying to infuse more money in the market so that people, they have more money in their hand and they start consuming more. Demand, they are trying to increase the demand so that, when demand is more, people will spend more so that the manufacturing activity restarts. The economy starts running. Now, every country is trying to do this. Now, in a way, when they are trying to reduce the interest rates, what is happening is they are trying to boost the inflation. They are looking in a way that, with more money in hands, people will start consuming more. They will invest less in banks. They will save less. They will try and consume more for even unnecessary products. So demand will pick up for the products and products value will go up. Supply is not adequate as of now. So demand will increase rapidly, and because of that, prices of the products will go up, inflation will go up, and then supply of the products will be sufficing, the manufacturing will start, so inflation will go up. One side is this. Second side is, if the interest rates are reduced in the countries, what happens is their home currency devaluates. So you would be hearing, last 2 days ago there was an announcement by Federal Reserve Bank of US, which is the Reserve Bank of US. They have said that we are not reducing the interest rate further in this meeting, and we are keeping the interest rates to the near zero level. So what has happened? Dollar suddenly, there was a sudden movement because of this in dollar valuation as compared to other currencies, maybe dollar versus euro, dollar versus pound, dollar versus rupee. These movements are very frequent. So interest rate has an impact on the forex market. Forex market has an impact on commodity market. So they are all interrelated. And mind you, capital market is also not far away. When we say markets are falling, people are just taking their money out of the equity market. What we say, capital flight is happening. FIIs are taking their money. FIIs take their money in dollar terms out of the Indian market, and to take money in dollar terms, what they do is they sell rupee and buy dollar. So it means dollar appreciates and rupee depreciates further, and it has an impact on the commodity valuation. So these asset classes are interrelated, and we have to always keep their role in mind when we talk about price or dealing in commodity segment. Now, commodity segment, let us just come here. 4 silos I have explained you. That is agricultural segment, base metals, energy, and bullion. Now, agriculture segment is the only segment which has products which are grown. Now these are called as soft commodities. Other segments, which is bullion, base metals, and energy, it deals with products which are extracted through mining, right? Base metals, copper, aluminum, lead, nickel, zinc, they're all extracted from the earth. Even crude oil and natural gas, they are all extracted from the earth. And for that matter, even gold, silver, diamond, platinum, palladium, they're all extracted. So the products which are extracted, they're called as hard commodities. So a commodity could be any product which can be bought, sold, produced, and consumed and has a commercial value. That product, which of a basic nature, is called as the commodity. Okay. So commodity valuations are impacted by exchange rates, interest rates, demand and supply of that product, and even the weather or cyclicity of the products. Okay. Now, let's go ahead. Since we are dealing in derivatives of the products, now on the exchange platform, what do we trade is, we don't trade physical commodities. We trade in contracts or derivatives that represent these physical commodities. So such financial market has to be regulated and is regulated under the regulator called as SEBI. Securities and Exchange Board of India is the regulator for commodity markets since September 2015. Okay. Prior to that, September 2015, the commodity markets regulators in India was Forward Market Commission, FMC. Okay. These kinds of regulated commodity exchanges are there. Even MCX started its operation in late 2003, and it's been now 17 years we are in the business. Okay. We have 86 similar kind of exchanges all across the globe, which are called as commodity exchanges. And MCX is the 7th largest commodity exchange in the world in terms of volumes which are traded, and still we are in a developing phase. Okay. Now, SEBI is the regulator. Below this, SEBI comes different kinds of commodity exchanges. SEBI gives the broad guidelines and framework in which exchanges have to operate. Then exchanges have their own set of rules, regulations, and bylaws, which are made available through circulars to the members. And below these commodity exchanges, we have members, authorized people who are allowed to trade on the exchange. These are called authorized members who are allowed to trade on the exchange, and below them are different kinds of clients attached to each member. Now this is the hierarchy. Now understand, these all commodity exchanges are called as stock exchanges. In India, you have to understand there is no separate division as far as an equity exchange, currency exchange, and commodity exchange anymore. Now we are all in a scenario of universal exchanges. 3 years ago, SEBI had made all these exchanges as universal exchanges. Now, what do I mean by universal exchanges? All exchanges are called as stock exchanges, and they can have any segment on their platform. That is, NSE and BSE, for example, who were historically only equity exchanges, but after this allowance, they are also allowed to have commodity contracts, which they have commodity derivatives in their same segment, same platform. They have equity, they have currency, they have commodities as well. So even MCX, we are primarily dealing in commodity segments. We can also at any point in time can start with equity, as well as we can also start with currency segment. So this is, we are moving towards the international scenario wherein we have only one exchange, big exchange, with all the different segments allowed in the same platform, same exchange. So this is something which has happened after coming up of SEBI as a new regulator since 2015. After SEBI has taken over, they are very active and they are very robust towards developing commodity derivative markets as a whole. Now what they have done so far is they have integrated the intermediaries. That means equity brokers, commodity brokers, currency brokers, and people who want to deal in these segments. Earlier they have to open different accounts. Now because of SEBI being a common regulator, they have integrated the intermediaries. That is, you have to just open one demat account and you can trade in any segment. Okay, because of this, what has happened, the money which was parked with different segment for operation was now in a common kitty. You have to just give a fund in one demat, and that could be used for trading in any of the segments. That is integration of intermediaries. KYC was reduced. Only one KYC was enough for equity, will be enough for equity, commodity, and currency. Plus, because of SEBI, after SEBI taking over, they have allowed different kinds of products to be introduced in markets very rapidly. In a very short span in time, we are allowed to have options. We were earlier having futures as the derivatives allowed till 2017. From 2003 to 2017, we had only futures on commodities. But after that, we are now having options as well as a product. We are also having, which I just showed you, different kinds of options on futures, option on physical product. Plus, very recently, we have launched something called as index futures. 24th August 2020, we have launched, allowed by SEBI. Now we know about something called as Nifty, Sensex. These are all index in equity market, and basis on these index futures and options are traded. Now similarly in commodity, since we have segments like bullion, base metals, energy, and agri, for all these segments subsequently we'll be having index futures allowed by the regulator. So as of now, we have launched bullion index future. Very soon you will see we will have base metal futures, and then we will also subsequently have energy index futures, agri index futures. Then we'll have a composite index, a commodity market index in a whole, right? So this market is on a rapid development phase, with new market participants also allowed by the regulator. So you have to keep in mind that, along with the physical market, that is where the physical buying and selling is happening, the mandi is where buying and selling happening, there is the parallel market, which is called as the exchange market. And this commodity exchanges, what do we trade is, we trade in commodity contracts. We don't trade in physical product. If you want to buy physical gold, then we can buy it from the physical wholesale market, or called as mandis, or a spot market, or a cash market. In commodities, physical market, cash market, and spot market are same. Where you go, pay the money, buy the product immediately. Okay. Now, along with this market, there is this parallel market, which is called as a exchange market, exchange derivative markets, where commodity contracts are traded, but at the end of the contracts or towards the expiry of the contracts, delivery of product happens. It means if I buy a gold derivative and I keep my position open till the last day of the contract, if I'm a buyer, I can buy the exchange given quality of gold, that is 24 karat gold given by the exchange, which is these products are delivered on expiry. Now, what do we have under commodity contracts? We have both kinds of derivatives allowed on the exchange. We have futures and options both allowed. Why do we require these contracts, these derivatives? Because of two reasons. One I have explained is called as price discovery. Now, the prices which physical market people and many people in the world they use to do their physical trades and deals is coming from these exchanges. Now, if I want to buy crude oil from say Oman, now at what price would I deal? I look at the NYMEX price if I'm dealing in WTI crude oil, or intercontinental exchange price if I'm dealing in Brent crude oil prices. So these prices, like exchange given prices, are acting as a benchmark or a reference price for physical deals across the globe. And in India as well, you go to a jeweler, you ask him what is the rate on which he will be ready to sell gold to you, jewelry to you. He will first look at the MCX price. Why he is looking at the MCX price? Because physical market players and investors are all connecting on the single platform, and a single rate is being coming, which is giving the true price of the market. And looking at that price, he will quote you something. So price discovery happens. And this price discovery happens on the exchange because of participation on the exchange. The screen which I showed at one point of time, right now live, more than 10 million people are connected right now on the screen, and whatever price is coming is the best price out of this 10 million people. One price agreed by all across India. That is where price is discovered by the people who participate on the exchange. Plus, next function, the next main pillar of the exchange of a commodity is to manage risk. Commodity exchanges are set up in the first place to manage risk. Now, who all are the people who manage risk? People who deal with physical products, they are facing something called as commodity price risk, and this risk is managed using derivatives on the exchange platform. Now, for example, I'll give you two examples just for your understanding. There is a farmer, cotton farmer. He is right now in September. He knows that September, October, or towards the fag end of October or in November, cotton product is ready for harvesting and is available to be sold in the market in India. This is the harvesting season will be coming. This is the sowing season. So he wants to sow the product right now. So he is sowing the product. The farmer is sowing the product, but he is not aware at what price he will be able to sell the product. In market, the raw cotton price today, for example, is 100 rupees a kg, for example. Okay. Now, farmer would like to have 100 rupees a kg as his sales price. That is the today's price in the market. But his product is not ready. His product will be ready maybe by the end of October, or maybe in middle of November. He will harvest his product and then he will come in the market. Now, risk is when he will come in the market to sell the product, that would be the harvesting season for many farmers who have sown cotton. So they will also be bringing their product to the physical market to be sold. When markets will be flooded with excess products coming in to be sold, what will happen? Supply is more, demand is less, prices will fall after 2 months for cotton. The farmer is knowing today only that the prices today is 100 rupees, and after 2 months the prices might fall because of excess supply in the market, and they might be say reaching maybe 70 rupees a kg or 65 rupees a kg level. So risk for this farmer is that when he will go in the market, he will realize lesser than what he could realize today. So he could minimize this 30 rupees loss by using derivatives. Now, this is one example. Understand the second example. There is a processor, or I would say there is a manufacturer. For example, Maruti. Maruti is a company who is a manufacturer of cars. They don't manufacture all the parts on their own. What do? Is they manufacture few things themselves, and they have given the order to some people which are called as original equipment manufacturers with the quality specifications. Okay, and they have entered into an agreement with them that every month you will supply so much of quantity of the products for so many cars wherein we will use the product. Okay, for example, there is a person who makes steering wheels for Maruti. Now, understand about this person who is making the steering wheels. Now, his his sales order and sale price is fixed with Maruti. He knows that every month I have to deliver 1,000 steering wheels to Maruti, and Maruti will pay 100 rupees per steering wheel to me. And this contract is for 2 years. Okay. Now understand, this OEM who is manufacturing the steering wheels, his selling price is fixed today. What he will receive for 2 years, but his input price is different. His input price is varying. The aluminium which he is using to make the steering alloy wheels and giving it to Maruti, the prices are not constant. Say for example, today when he has entered into an agreement, the price is say X. Tomorrow when he requires raw material to make product and deliver to Maruti, the prices have gone to X plus 10. Now with this 10 rupees increment, what has happened? He cannot increase his sales price. So this 10 rupee increment is hitting his profit. Okay. For some extent, he will bear that loss. Ki koi baat nahi, it's a big order. Maruti is a big company. So let me not, go back, because I cannot change the sale price. Let us just reduce our profit and deliver. But there can be a situation when prices they further go up and your full profit margin is getting evaporated. Now what you will do? Can you pass on the price increase to the customer, that is Maruti? No. So to mitigate this risk, you are a processor. To mitigate the risk of increase in raw material, what you can do is you can take help of derivatives. If aluminum futures or options are available, you can mitigate this risk of your margin squeeze or you running into loss, right? You can mitigate this risk using derivatives. So primarily derivative exchanges, their main purpose of setting up was also to help and enable people to manage their risk. Now, let me give you a live example. Mexico is one of the countries who produces a lot of crude oil and they sell in the market. So they know that every year what is their budgeted production. So this January 2020, what they have announced to all in the market, that for all our expected production of the year 2020 from January to December, we have hedged a risk. It means they have taken derivative positions so that in case if price falls, they have a risk of prices falling. If their producing cost is $40 per barrel, and what if prices they go down to 10 rupees a barrel, which has happened because of pandemic. So they would have still sold their product at 10 rupee. Their production cost is 40. They're selling their product at $10 per barrel. So $30 per barrel they're making a loss. So to get a protection against that, what they have done is for a complete 1 year they have hedged themselves, mitigated their risk, and they have done using derivatives. The derivative is very important, and exchange plays a very important role in this risk mitigation activity. Now, since we have talked about risk mitigation activities using derivatives, let me just talk about a very important concept, that what is a derivative. Okay, derivative, since we were in financial markets, so derivatives have to be a financial instrument and is a financial instrument whose value is derived from the underlying asset. It means if it is a gold derivative, so its value will be around what is the value of gold running in the market. Say value of gold is as of now 51,000 per 10 gram. So derivative value will be somewhere around 51,200. Maybe the gold derivative value will be represented by the gold actual value. So underlying is gold. If I say it is a crude oil derivative, so its value will be in barrels, rupees per barrels, right? So likewise, if I say it is a equity derivative, so it's that equity derivative value, future or option value will be determined from the underlying share value, which is the underlying for that derivative. So derivative is a financial instrument, okay, whose value is derived from the underlying asset. Now, what is this underlying asset? Underlying asset could be anything. And just let me just tell you, derivatives is everywhere in the market today. Unorganized way in OTC market and in organized way on the exchanges. Okay, now unorganized way. Let me just give you a very small example. Grocery shop owners we would have in our nearby localities as well. Yes, you would have closely anytime observed them. They give the products on credit as well. They have a small book in which they make an entry and they give it to the buyer. What are they trying to do? They are agreeing today to sell a product to the buyer at the price available today, at the quality which they are giving today, but the other person is agreeing to pay the money after a point in time. So this agreement between these two people is called a derivative. Now, for example, India as a country, they have agreed to buy Rafale aircraft from French government, France. Yes. What have they done is Indian government have entered into an agreement with the French government to buy a model of the Rafale aircraft. The number of aircrafts to be purchased is also decided on the day one, and the value and the cost of the each Rafale aircraft which India will pay is also decided on day one. It means India and French government, Indian government and French government, they have entered into an agreement, which is a derivative agreement to buy. India is a buyer, French government is a seller. Underlying asset is the Rafale aircraft, whose value is decided on the day of agreement, and delivery will be taking some time. Delivery will happen in 2 years. So this is a derivative with expiry of 2 years, wherein the product to be bought or sold is identified, quality of product is identified, and the price of product is identified on day one. Such kind of contracts are derivative contracts. Take for an example, businesses. If I am running a business, I get an order from one of my very old customers on the phone. He said, okay, boss, give me 20 tons of this material, ship it to me immediately on immediate basis. And we agree to the price of the sales which has happened. What happens is, I agree, I have dispatched the money, the product to him on the agreed money, and once he accepts the delivery, the product has reached him, he will release the payment. Maybe in a week, maybe in a month, whatever has been in our understanding. Mostly, most of the businesses, they work in this concept whereby they get an order and they produce. Or sometimes, the example which I have taken, the Maruti and the OEM he has got an order from Maruti. The terms of the trade has been agreed. So this is a derivative contract wherein for 2 years Maruti has agreed to buy 1,000 steering wheels from this person every month, and agreed to pay 100 rupees per steering wheel to him. So this is a derivative agreement. So agreements are the trade agreements, the buying and selling agreements, they are all derivative agreements. Okay. Now, since we are dealing in commodity market, we have to always understand that there is a physical market running parallelly with derivative market, or derivative market which runs parallelly to the physical market. In physical market, what happens is actual buying and selling of physical commodities happening. Primary function of that market is to bring the buyers and sellers together, so that product is available to be sold, and the buyer pays the money to the seller. Okay. It can involve producers, consumers, importers, exporters, processors, like this, different kinds of people, wholesale markets, mandis, retail markets. On a contrast, derivative market is an online market, right, which exists parallel and enable physical market players to manage risk using derivatives. Now, these derivatives, if they are running on the exchange, they are called as standardized derivative. It is only two derivatives which could be standardized and allowed to be traded, which are called as futures and options. The exchange traded derivatives which are standardized are called as futures and options. Otherwise, there is a market which is called as OTC market, one-to-one negotiable market. You know, the derivatives which are allowed, which are not standardized, which are very, very negotiable, are called as forwards, options, and swaps. So option is a kind of derivative which is both available in exchange traded market as well as OTC market. On exchange traded platform, these derivatives have a standardized terms of trade. Okay, in OTC market, they have a very negotiable way of trading. Their terms of trading is negotiable. So basically, there are four kinds of derivatives: forwards, futures, options, and swaps. The agreements which is done between two people, you know, maybe what we have done between India and French government is called as a forward contracts, wherein two people have agreed to buy and sell a product or an asset at a future date, which with price agreed today while signing the agreement. You know, this is a forward contract. Okay, now in this forward contract there is a risk of counterparty default. What if French government they disagree to give the delivery, or what if after a point in time Indian government says no, we don't want delivery anymore for the Rafale aircraft. You know, that is between two governments. Any two parties can go back on the agreement terms which are privately negotiated. Yes, so forward contract, they have a very big drawback of counterparty default. Okay, which might result into the business loss. Okay, plus they are negotiated contracts. The terms of trade could be negotiated and renegotiated. Now, to avoid these kinds of situations, we have standardized. When we standardize the forward contract, that means the terms of conditions will be standard and it will be same for all the buyers and sellers. No buyer or seller can have a personalized negotiated terms. No, terms are standardized by the exchange. Anybody want to agree to these standardized terms can come and trade on the exchange platform. So once these terms are standardized to buy and sell an underlying asset for a future date, price agreed today and regulated by an exchange, these contracts are called as future contracts. Now, regulated by the exchange or traded on an exchange platform serves a very important purpose. Exchange doesn't allow that counterparty default to happen. So on an exchange platform, when the standardized derivatives are traded, there is no counterparty default. Okay, option is a derivative which gives buyer the right to buy or sell. Seller gets the obligation to sell or buy, but buyer gets the right. Whosoever buys such kind of option contracts gets the right to buy or sell by giving something called as premium. Okay, now as per RBI, any instrument to be called as derivatives needs to have three important points. One is it should be a forward looking agreement contract. It means that it should have a future date of expiry. It means for all the contracts, like for example, Rafale, Indian and French government enter into contract for a delivery over 2 years. Now this contract comes to an end after the 2 years are over, the contract will finish. So a derivative contract should always have a expiry date. It should always have an underlying. Plus, since you are dealing in contracts, you need not pay the full money on day one. Why? Because we have just agreed into a contract wherein I can just give an advance or a token money. The full money payment could be happening on the final delivery or after delivery. So derivative contracts, the next important point is they should always have an involvement of small money. So on the exchange platform, when you buy or sell these derivatives, futures and options, you need to pay something called as a small money, which is called as margin. Okay, as per the definition of RBI. Okay, let's go ahead. Participants who are as of now allowed by the regulator and the exchange to be participating on the commodity exchanges are in front of you. Now this list has been modified lately over last 2 years by SEBI. In a way, they have allowed many different kinds of participants to come and trade in the commodity segments, to hedge or to trade, whatever. Okay. Now this has happened after 2017 when SEBI has taken over. Since beginning, domestic retail participants, that is investors, speculators, arbitrators, investors, jobbers, they are allowed to be participating in the market since day one. Corporate hedgers would be one, like people who deal with the product, traders, importers, exporters, companies, they deal in products, so they want to mitigate their risk. So they also are allowed to trade. Plus, now category 3 alternate investment fund. Now the points given below from here are the latest introductions in the market. They have been allowed by SEBI, and SEBI is trying to make market more robust and more valued. They have allowed alternate investment funds are the small hedge funds. They can be participating in the commodity domestic markets. SEBI has allowed bank subsidiaries to be part of the market. Now, bank subsidiaries, it means as of now, banks are not allowed. Banks are allowed to be participating in equity, but not in commodity. Bank subsidiaries like Kotak Securities. Kotak Bank is not allowed. Axis Bank is not allowed. Axis Securities can be participating in, can take part in the commodity segments on behalf of their clients. Okay. Plus, foreign entities who have exposure, these are called as eligible foreign entities. Now, these are companies who have foreign companies who have operations in India and they face commodity risk, so they can hedge their risk locally. Mutual funds, they have been allowed very recently. Portfolio management services, they have been allowed also very recently. Plus, SEBI is also making market more efficient by adding on and permitting more instruments and more segments for trading. And very recent example would be on 24th of August, that is last month, MCX has launched with due permission of SEBI index futures in Bullion segment. In commodity market, the trade timings are extended. We work from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 in summers and 11:55 in winters in night time. Okay. In only agricultural segments for local reference, commodities of local reference like black pepper, the trading happens from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. Agricultural commodity of international reference like cotton, crude palm oil, their derivatives are allowed to be traded from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the night in summers and 9:30 in winters. And remaining 3 big segments, bullion segment, metal segments, and energy segments, their derivatives are allowed to be traded from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 in the night in summer and 11:55 in winters. So we have an extended working hours, which is very elongated working hours as compared to equity and currency. This is a kind of screen where all the hedging and trading activities takes place. This is the screen which we have seen some time ago. Plus, along with commodity market, what has happened? The way this exchange market, what has happened? The important concept of delivery at the end of the contract of derivatives is becoming prevalent and is the practice. So what happens now, since delivery is happening, so we deliver as per the quality standards of international repute as mentioned in the contract specification. So robust warehousing services and facilities have developed over the years, wherein we are having accredited warehouses with best of the class facilities of maintaining the product, fumigation and everything is there, quality checking is there. Because of this robust warehouse system which has developed, a lot of quality certifying agencies are into act. We have warehouse receipt negotiable market, wherein a farmer can come and submit their product on the exchange accredited warehouse and get a warehouse receipt, electronic warehouse receipt issued, whereby he could trade on the warehouse receipt. He can sell that warehouse receipt or the ownership to anyone in the market and get the money, or he can give the warehouse receipt to the bank and take loan against that, so that he can be with money for the next crop, and whenever the time is okay, he can give the delivery of the exchange quality product which is there in the warehouse on the exchange delivery platform or to anyone who is wanting that quality product. So along with exchanges, commodity derivative ecosystem has also developed and is presenting a lot many opportunities to students and different sectors of and segments of the market. As of now, the regulator has allowed us to have derivatives in 91 commodities, but we have as of now derivatives in only 20 to 25 commodities, but in all segments. So there is a long way to go. We have 91 commodities on which derivatives are yet to be introduced, all of them. We only have 20 to 25, but in all segments. We have precious metal on MCX, energy, base metals, and bullion segment and agri segment. Okay. So now, since these commodities are traded worldwide globally, their factors are numerous in nature. Just to note few of them, commodity prices are impacted by international price which are there in the global market. If global market prices are going down, so domestic prices will also go down. We follow the suit. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be a big arbitrage between two countries or two markets. Forex markets have a huge impact on the commodity prices. Geopolitical factors between global and Indian economies and different economies of the world, they have an impact on prices. Trade policies and regulation, tariff and non-tariff barriers, trade wars, which are happening for last few months and years between, say, US and China. That has an impact. War-like situations, economic factors like conditions like recession, inflation, growing trends of economies, demand and supply scenario, inventory levels. These are few factors out of which are called as fundamental factors impacting the prices of the products. There are many more, depending on what kind of commodity you are talking about. Now, because of these factors, there is something called as price risk. That is the risk which is managed on the exchange. Only price risk is the risk which is managed on the exchange using derivative. Now, what is this risk? I've already given you 2-3 examples of that, and I will be just correlating those examples. So risk is not what is known to me. Price up till today and history is known to me. Risk is what might happen in future. Yes or no? Yes. So any producer, manufacturer, or any value chain partner, people who deal with commodity as a product, today know that what is the price, but they are not aware what might happen in future. Now, for example, today there is a farmer who wants to sow cotton. His risk is prices can go down. Okay. Now, at the same time, there is a processor who has a sales order. He wants to deliver in next 6 months. Okay. He has a risk that my sales price is fixed, selling price is fixed. But what if my raw material prices go up? If raw material prices go up, my input cost will go up. I cannot increase my sales price, so my margins will be hitting. So today is the price and the time when the actual risk mitigation should start. That is, as and when you feel there is a risk arising today because of your buying or selling or operational deeds, you should immediately take help of derivatives and mitigate your risk. And this risk mitigating process is called as hedging. Now, what is hedging? Hedging is a risk management tool which involves taking position in derivative market, which is opposite to the physical market. Remember, we have said that physical markets and derivative market, they run parallelly to each other. Now, to mitigate their risk, you just remember opposite position has to be taken in the derivative market. Now, whose opposite position? The position which you have in physical market, you have to take a opposite position in the derivative market. Now, for example, I have taken the risk of a farmer, cotton example. Now, his risk is prices might fall. Okay. What he wants to do is he wants to sell his physical product. So what opposite he will do in the derivative market? He will sell the products in the physical market. He has the product, or he will be having the product ready. So he sells the product in derivative. He sells derivative contracts. Okay. Look at the second point. It is a temporary substitution of derivative market transaction for a planned cash or spot market transaction. So what was the planned transaction for this farmer? That once the cotton is ready to be harvested, he will harvest and sell the product in the market. Now, He is using derivative to substitute temporarily what he wants to do in physical market. He is temporarily selling derivatives today, so that when he sells the product in the market, he will buy back the derivatives which he has sold on that day. Now, risk management or hedging is a risk mitigating activity where the objective should not be to make profit. The objective should be to offset the loss in one market by gaining in the other. Now, there are two scenarios. Just listen carefully. First scenario is called as a long hedge. Now, what is this long hedge? Cash market, physical market is the same. Now understand. Long hedge means taking a buy position in futures. Okay. Now, when I take a buy position in futures, I have to understand my physical market situation first. My physical market situation says I have a sales order or a long-term agreements to sell. Now, once I have a sales order or LTA, my selling price is fixed. Understand, always selling price is fixed. Now, second step is I will require to produce raw material, right? I will require raw material to be procured to produce and deliver. I have to fulfill my sales order. For fulfilling the sales order, I need to do the delivery. And to do the delivery, I require raw material to be procured, process, manufacture the product and sell. Okay. Now in doing this, what is, if market price rise, market price of raw material rise. If market price of raw material goes up, what will happen? My selling price is fixed. So reduction or loss in the profit margin will happen due to higher raw material price. So risk is the raw material prices can go up. How to mitigate this loss? Now, since we have a derivative market, and if suppose I am dealing in the same product, now understand the OEM example vis-a-vis Maruti. Now OEM, he has a sales order to, he knows that every month I have to deliver 1000 steering wheels and I'll be paid rupees 100 per steering wheel. Okay, for 2 years. So to make the product, he will require to buy raw materials. What if raw material prices goes up? He cannot increase the sales price, that is fixed. So if raw material price goes, he face a loss. So to mitigate against this risk, as per the definition of hedging, what I do is I do a temporary substitution. What is the temporary substitution? I want to buy raw material. So what I do is, immediately today I got a sales order, I buy a future contract of the underlying product in the market, in the derivative exchange. Okay. Now, how to get rid, how the hedging works? When I buy raw material, I square off, I reverse the position in the future contracts or option contracts. Okay. Or in doing so, what will happen? Now understand, risk is raw material prices will go up. Okay, market prices have gone up. I will buy the raw material from the market only, because who will give me the raw material? I buy the raw material from the market at a higher price. Now, since I have hedged, I will sell the derivative contracts at a higher price. Okay, since derivative prices are linked with the underlying, so if underlying prices is going up, the derivative prices will also go up. So I bought derivatives at 100 rupees and sell derivative at 110. It means from derivative I gain 10 rupees. Okay, which will offset the risk of paying higher price for raw material buy. So the gain which I make in derivative will offset the extra money which I will pay to buy the raw material and help me in maintaining the same profit margin which I have agreed on day one. Even though the sales order is for 6 months or 1 year, I can still maintain the profit margin by doing something called as hedging. Okay. Now, if I happen to, if my buying date happens to be the date on which the exchange contract is expiring, so I can buy the raw material, take the delivery from the exchange as well. Okay, in that case I need not square off my position. So I took the raw material from the exchange at the lesser price on which I have bought the derivatives, and then at a lesser price or the cheaper raw material price, I can be with my margins. So the understanding is I always go for offsetting my loss in cash market by profit in the derivative market, but making profit is not the aim. Offsetting the loss is the aim. Now, second example is called as a short hedge. I sell futures to mitigate my risk. Now, understand the example of a farmer, or take any company, say Tata Motors, or any company, or say a jeweler. These all companies, they produce their product. FMCG company, whatever sector you take, all companies, they produce their product in advance of sales order. They might have sales order, but they produce in advance that we will circulate our product and we will keep in display, and one day somebody might buy. It means they don't know when the product will be sold. Same is the case with farmer. Farmer, he is not knowing that at what price his sales will happen. Even a gold jeweler has so many jewelry ready, he is not aware when this sales will happen and what price will be on that day, because if the prices are lesser than the raw material price, he cannot charge more. He has to take the day's price. So understand, in cash market, I have the product which I will be selling. I will be selling the finished products in time to come. My risk is, what if the price of the product falls and I realize less from my sales? That is the risk of a farmer, that after 2 months, when everybody will bring their product to the market, the prices of cotton will fall and farmer will have to realize lesser price. To mitigate this risk, and what Mexico has done, they have already hedged their sales. Now what they have done is, using derivatives, they sell future contract immediately. Okay, derivative contracts immediately to mitigate their risk of falling prices, and when they actually sell the product in the market, they buy back the derivatives. Now in doing so, what has happened? The gain in derivative market will offset the loss which could have happened in the physical market. Or if the selling date coincides with the exchange contract expiry date, so the seller can give the delivery on the exchange as well in hedging. So overall, the motto is to mitigate the risk by making some gain in the derivative market or offsetting the risk. So this is called as hedging. Now understand, we are in the derivative contracts. So on daily basis, these contracts, there is a settlement done by the clearing corporation of the exchange. One is called the daily settlement. Now wherein your real-time margin blocking, payment and refund happens. Now what is this margin blocking and refund? Say for example, 1 kg gold contract on exchange. Okay, you want to buy 1 kg contract on the exchange for gold, its value is 51 lakhs. Now as per derivative definition, you pay only margin money. Okay, now who is monitoring that your margin money is paid, and when you are buying, is the margin money sufficient when you buy? That is taken care at the back end by something called as exchange clearing corporation. So once I take a position, either a buy or sell, my margins are blocked. This is called margin payment happened. And once I remove my position, margin money gets released. It is refunded to my account. So this is done on real-time basis, daily. Plus, at the end of the day, generally you would have heard something called as mark-to-market gain or mark-to-market loss. It means on all your open positions which you have not closed on the day, exchange marks your position with the closing price of the contract of that day. Okay, what exchange is trying to do is, suppose you have bought something at 100 rupees and that contract closes at 110. It means you have still your open position, but with the closing price of 110, you are in 10 rupees profit. So tomorrow, that is the next day, exchange will credit 10 rupees to your account as M2M gain. Now in case if you are in loss, you have bought something at 100 rupees and exchange on that day for that contract closes at 90 rupees. So you have to pay 10 rupees as loss to the exchange, which is called as M2M pay in, and which is when you pay loss to the exchange on daily basis, and when exchange pays you back as M2M gain, it is called M2M payout. So that happens on daily basis. But since we are dealing in derivatives, these contracts, they expire on the expiry date. So on expiry date, most of the contracts are delivered. So people who are with open position, that means if you are buyer, you have kept your positions, you have not closed off your positions till expiry. So if you are a buyer till expiry, so on expiry, what will happen? Exchange marks your positions and you will have to buy the physical product. Okay, that is called settlement by delivery as a buyer. And in case you are a seller and you want to give delivery on the exchange platform, you can do that. Okay, and once the delivery is marked to you as a seller, you have to give the delivery of the quality specified by the exchange. Okay, but this is called settlement by delivery. Now there are few contracts primarily on the exchange which are cash settled as well, wherein no delivery happens, and if at all delivery has to happen, both the buyer and seller agrees for, say for example, crude oil and natural gas, they are cash settled contracts. Index futures, it is again a cash settled contract. Otherwise all contracts on the exchange, if you keep your positions till the end, they are delivery based. Okay, okay. uh, I may not get into more of options because these are products about which you can read on the exchange website as well. So like futures, we have an option contracts wherein the buyer gets the right to buy. That is the only difference. That is the type of contracts. We have options on gold, silver, crude oil, copper, zinc. These are options on future contracts. The underlying is the future contract. Now we also have options, gold mini options. That is options on 100 grams of gold. So that is option on goods. Okay, let me just go ahead. This is very important. Now, how you can participate on the exchange? Very important. You as a client or a member, you have to choose a member broker, which is the authorized person, from where you will get to know who is the authorized member on the exchange. On any exchange website, the list is given of the authorized person. You approach them, fill in your KYC properly. You should have initial margin. The margins, you should have enough money to take derivative positions. You should read and know the exchange laws of operation, rules and regulations of the exchange. You should know some knowledge, or you should have some knowledge about the commodity derivatives in which you want to trade. It should not be like, okay, somebody is telling me buy gold, so I'm buying gold derivatives. No, you should know that, okay, because of knowledge where the gold prices are headed, either they are going up or down. On your analysis, you have to go by it. Now there are some do's and don'ts which you have to follow to trade on the exchange. Plus you should be aware about the brokerages, transaction charges, margins, taxation, stamp duty. These are all open data. Anyone and everyone who trades on the exchange should be aware of all these charges which would be applicable to them, in their trade. Now there are few important aspects which you have to keep in mind. One is, you should always trade with the registered brokers. You should always complete your KYC properly. You should keep a track of your money submitted with the brokers, that is used in the right way. You should know your rights and obligation. You should not trade in cash. Cash transactions are not allowed, okay, on the exchange platform. Don't go by the promises or returns or hot tips given by the brokers. You have to always use your analysis to trade. Don't sign any blank document with the brokers, which can go against you. Don't sign anything. Plus, very important, don't trade outside the exchange, which is called as a book trading system or dabba system. It is illegal, and regulator is very vigilant. Once caught, a penalty is charged, okay, and even jail is extended. Now who is a responsible investor? Very important. As a responsible investor, you have to always track the physical market with your derivative positions. You should be keeping a track of both global and local fundamental factors. You should trade in your limits. You should know your risk profile. You should take informed decisions, your research based decisions. You should not be misled by brokers or somebody else. Okay, don't overtrade. Trade in your limits with the money you have judiciously. Always track your positions because market is very dynamic. Now what is the growth opportunities for some of you? You would feel, what are the opportunities in commodity markets? First, markets are yet to reach the levels what is there in global market in terms of commodity in India. In India, still equity markets are bigger and commodity markets worldwide are, you know, at the first or second number. So Indian markets will grow further, give you more opportunities, job opportunities. Plus markets are getting integrated. SEBI, even the regulator are making more changes, you know, like new products are coming, bank subsidiaries, mutual funds, FI or PMSs are allowed. It means they will require people with commodity knowledge for them to help their investments in these segments. Plus more commodity derivatives are yet to be seen in the market, you know, so markets will go further. Even on the back end, spot markets are also developing, e-linking of mandi is having, and rural penetration is also taking place. So overall, from job point of view, you know, corporate sectors is where, you know, barring services industry, most of the industries are commodity linked. So that is where, you know, in treasury, risk management, you could find with importers, exporters. Banks who extend credit needs to have research analysts who with commodity background, who could tell the bank, you know, yes, you can extend credit to what extent. Market intermediaries will require people with commodity knowledge, merchandisers, foreign hedgers. They will require experts who know commodity markets to help them mitigate their risk. You have commodity ecosystems, you know, the requirements, they come in from clearing houses, broking house, mutual funds, bank subsidiaries. You can be individual strategies, you can sell your views, you can be associated with any broker, you know, in future you can see opportunities with vaults and warehouses, quality certifying agencies, educational institutes in research, you know. A lot of research has been extended by exchange to institutes for their research faculties, you know. Plus we have a big ecosystem wherein you can have extended opportunities in time to come. Even government is where, you know, many opportunities in commodity segments is seen, and requirement is there from time to time. This is where, you know, also you can see the requirements. Plus this is where, you know, I would like to end my presentation by saying a lot of matter is there on our website, or for the matter on websites of different commodity exchanges. Just go there and read about the products, read about their fundamentals. That information is free of cost. You can go back at your ease and read what is there, gain knowledge, and then take part in the exchange segment, okay, which is an online market. Thank you very much for your undivided attention.